Hey everybody, it's Philosopher. Welcome back out to the channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about pepper spray. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. All right, so many of you may or may not know that I do a Thursday night live chat. It's most often on Thursday nights, not always. And on that we call it a good guy with a gun nightly chat. And what we do is we pick 2 or 3 and sometimes 4 stories from the recent news reportings where a good guy or gal defended themselves with some type of weapon, typically a firearm, where there was a home intruder or someone was trying to rob them on the street or someone was trying to carjack them. And we have been doing this now. We're up to over 80 episodes. And we're fairly often talking about what are the right self-defense tools. And I thought that it would be kind of interesting so that when folks over at POM, the folks that make pepper spray, reached out to me, they asked if I would like to review some of their items. And I said, absolutely, because first off, that is something that I use, and especially my wife and daughters carry them quite frequently. And then I like to carry them, especially when I'm going to be in more urban environments where sometimes a firearm may not be legally allowed to be carried, or the likelihood of running into someone who's quite intoxicated or inebriated, and you may want to dissuade them with some pepper spray. And so what I like to do is I like to carry this with me. And I think today what I'd like to do is do a little bit of a comparison. So what I have up is something, I don't even know the brand, quite honestly. I think it's Saber, but I don't know. This is one that we've carried quite a while in the Trigger Bar Philosopher family household. So we're going to be testing this. Then I've got a couple of these smaller ones from POM. Red one, black one, and then we have MK3, which I had actually already bought for my home, so I have these strategically placed. Again, as my spouse is not a big proponent or not proponent. She's not against guns. She just doesn't like to use them herself. She thinks they're too loud and really isn't totally comfortable with them, but she would much rather use some kind of pepper spray to defend themselves. Now, I know everyone in the comments is gonna talk about, oh, she needs to do this, this, or this. Okay, fine. Well, we're all dealing with what we're all gonna do. Everyone makes their own choices. I do think there is a role for pepper spray. And so what we're gonna do today is we are going to check out, I've got a little bit of a target out, and we're going to check out the distances at which that this might be effective. And so we will use the one that isn't POM. We will test one of the ones that is POM, the small compact size one. And then we're going to test their Mark III out, and we'll see what type of distances we get, what type of coverage on our target behind us is. And yeah, we'll see which of these you might prefer and might be the most effective for you. So that's what we have on tap. Let's get to testing. So for the first thing that we want to do before we get to testing is test which way the wind is blowing. And the wind is a little bit cross and a little bit back. So I'm going to be at a slightly angled over here so that I don't get sprayed. And we will see it. And what our first test is we are at about 5 yards, and then we'll move back from here. And we've got just this first little one from POM out, and we're going to see, this is something that my wife does carry. She likes to clip it on her purse so that she has it. We usually have a couple in the car in case you're opening the car and want to have access to one. But we are at 5 yards, and what you see is you pop open the lid and we will spray. So I don't know if you can see it on the target, but at 5 yards, the spray is just barely getting there. You almost have to loft it up to it. And so let's see, if someone was at me at 5 yards, how effective would it be to get in their head? I can get a little bit on their head. I have to go up and to the right and do it. So yeah, want to come down and see just a little bit closer on the target what we're getting on it. It's not bad. And so I do think that, though, that what I would say is that the distance on this real short one is probably less than 5 yards. This is probably a up to 5 yard spray is what I would say for that, because it's not great. And what I was doing is I was lofting up here and it was coming down, and in some type of panic, that's not what you're going to be doing, right? You're just going to be pulling and spraying. And so, yeah. So that's what we did with this one. One of the things, the test that we should do with the other one is we should test how many sprays we get out of these. And so, but before we do that, let's go back to 5 yards and we're going to test this other one. Again, it's a little bit bigger. So notice the size differences. So maybe this one will be more powerful, but let's go back and see. All right. So we got it says USA on it. I don't know. We got that brand out, and we will do our spraying. I'm going to go to this side because, again, the wind is blowing back in that way. So and I am not able to even reach it, so it's not even going that far. So the POM was going just a little bit further than that one, than this, I think it's a Saber one was. But so if I have to scoot in, yeah, I had to scoot in about 1.5 yards for it even to hit the target. So the POM was definitely beating this in terms of its range. Even when I angled up and to the right, it was still landing in front of the target. So at 5 yards, this one wasn't good enough. So that's, score one for the POM. Why don't we try the Mark 3? That should be kind of fun. Let's go back to 5 yards so that you can see the target. And I'm going to step over to the side so that as it blows the other way, I don't get it. Oh yeah, that's a lot more effective. Oh yeah, that's the one I want. I want this one. This one's not bad, for a purse type of thing scenario, because you just want something with you. But this is way cool. All right, so we're at 5 yards. Let's go back to 7. And we're going to do the Mark again. You see how wet that thing is down there. And let's see, I'm going to step over to the side because, I'm hitting it. I have to lob it at 7 yards, but And then now it looks like it's done. So that continuous spray, this thing is done. So that it shoots it out pretty fast. So, but it's done. I think this other one was almost done. Yeah, this other one was done too. Okay, well, I do have a cold, but I got a little taste of that one. So, it doesn't taste really good. Tongue starts to go numb. Fortunately, not in the eyes, but So it looks like that Mark III range is about 7 yards, and very effective at 5 yards, not so effective at 7 yards. It begins to be what this one was at 5 yards, meaning I had to angle it and shoot, versus that Mark III at 5 yards. Which is again 15 feet, went straight to the head, went straight to the body, and just putting tons of stuff on it. So again, these are close range type things, but something for you to consider. All right, the next thing is we're going to move back into our 5 yard mark. And I'm going to move to the side so I don't get sprayed this time. And we'll see how many bursts of spray we can get out of this. All right, I'm over here now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, looks like 35. 35 little micro bursts. Okay, so a cool thing that they sent me too was these practice units. So let's stay at our 5 yards and see if our practice units, which supposedly only have water in them, how well they do. So I don't need to move over because in theory it's filled with water. So what I'm seeing is that this is actually a little more pressurized than, it's getting a little bit better. It's more pressurized than the real one. So that's kind of an odd result with that. So yeah, well, why don't we wrap things up? I think we've used up all my pepper spray here, and yeah, why don't we talk about what we found? Okay, well, today we did find that the POM is effective. I would say it's probably, the small ones are probably 3-4 yards effective. And then the big spray can is probably 5, 6, 7 yards effective. And that Mark III. I would definitely rather have the Mark III on me than I would these other smaller ones. And so that's something that I'm going to take into consideration. It's a bigger stream and spray, and it's just putting tons of that stuff on someone. These other ones are great because they're so small, they're so concealable, they fit very tight in your purse. But, you know, I would rather have that than not have something on me, but I'd definitely rather have something else on me. Well, in all situations, I'd much rather have a firearm on me than any of this. So as the guy over at Active Self-Defense says, there's a situation between harsh words and a gun, and the pepper spray is probably a good option for that. And again, even if you're just carrying this small one and someone is up and close on you, you know, you're walking down in the scenarios that I'm in some kind of urban environment, I would probably like to still have even those small ones on me so that I can get a separation and then draw a firearm if I have to, or if I'm able to be carrying it, or just get away. Really, realistically, if I'm able to be effective with this, I'm just going to be running and getting away. All right, well, let me hear what you all think about the notion of pepper spray and in what use cases you might think that they are useful and what types and brands you think are useful. I do appreciate POM sending this out because I haven't really done this kind of testing myself before. And so I appreciate POM sharing their product with me so that I could do that. I was pretty impressed. Again, the POM beat whatever other crappy brand I had bought in terms of that little small one was getting further distance and putting more spray on the target than the other one that I had. So I think, you know, that's great. Good on POM. And then I really like that Mark III that they have. It's not too big of a can. It's not that massive bear spray can, but even a little more powerful and still a pretty small package. That's pretty cool. All right, well, let me know what you guys think about this again. Hope everyone has a great week, and let's get to shooting.
From pistols to rifles, we'll take on the best. Review and each weapon, put them to the test. With revolvers and shotguns, we'll break it all down. The Second Amendment protects from the crown. Living for freedom.